We talk about capitalism and socialism like they're opposing worlds, like history is a war and we're supposed to pick a side. But that framing is modern, and it hides something older. This video is not about defending socialism, and it's not about attacking capitalism. It's about how we lost the moral architecture that once held markets together. To understand that, we have to go back before the binary existed, back to Adam Smith. Adam Smith did not live in a world divided into capitalists and socialists. Those words didn't exist. Industrial capitalism hadn't hardened into ideology. Mass factory labor hadn't reshaped society. The camps weren't built yet. And here's what matters most. Before Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations, he wrote The Theory of Moral Sentiments. He began with moral psychology, sympathy, restraint, justice, propriety. He did not imagine markets floating above morality. He imagined markets embedded inside it. Smith believed self-interest was powerful, but he did not believe it was self-justifying. He warned that civil government often becomes the protector of property holders. Civil government is instituted for the defense of the rich against the poor. He supported public education. He supported public works. He argued taxation should reflect ability to pay. The subjects of every state ought to contribute toward the support of the government as nearly as possible in proportion to their abilities. He assumed justice must restrain economic power. That is not socialism. That is balanced commercial society. Smith did not see a war between the individual and the collective. He saw interdependence. He assumed markets required guardrails. He assumed morality and commerce belonged together. Then the Industrial Revolution explodes. Factories scale. Labor concentrates. Ownership consolidates. Commercial society becomes industrial capitalism. The tension intensifies. And into that tension steps thinkers like Pierre-Joseph Proudhon and Karl Marx. They do not invent the moral problem. They respond to its industrial form. Socialism becomes a structural answer to concentrated ownership. New models, new arrangements of power. But the moral impulse underneath it, resistance to exploitation, is older than the word. That tension predates Marx. It predates industrial capitalism. It predates labels. Then the 20th century happens. Authoritarian regimes rise under socialist banners. State power centralizes. Dissent is crushed. That history is real. It matters. But something else happens too. The word socialism becomes synonymous with its worst manifestations. The moral critique of exploitation gets collapsed into gulags and breadlines. And now, any attempt to restore ethical limits to markets is labeled socialism. Even policies Smith assumed were normal. Public education, public works, regulation against collusion, taxation tied to capacity. The binary hardens. Capitalism versus socialism, as if they are metaphysical enemies. But Smith never saw it that way, because in his world, the separation had not yet happened. He did not detach commerce from sympathy. He did not treat markets as sacred. He did not imagine self-interest without restraint. The argument isn't capitalism versus socialism. The argument is whether markets answer to moral limits, or whether they declare themselves the limit. The binary is modern. The tension is ancient. Smith lived before ideology hardened into identity. He described balance. We inherited camps. The engine was never meant to run without brakes, and the brakes were never meant to be mistaken for the engine.